Greetings everybody, this is Sweet Beats with Sweet Beats Tech Stop, working on a series of videos regarding the electronics calibration of the Audio-Technica AT-RMX64. This is the second video. The first video is subtitled Meter Calibration. Watch that first. When you are calibrating tape machine electronics, the very first thing you want to do is calibrate your meters. And then step 2 is to calibrate the playback level. And in order to do that, so this video is about calibrating the playback level. In other words, lining up each of the 4 tracks so that the playback level of a known level tone is the same across all 4 tracks. And in order to do that, you have to have a test tape. You can't use a tape that has tones that you recorded off the internet or that your buddy Joe Bob bought from a secondhand store. And I would even be very careful about buying a calibration test tape off of your favorite auction site that looks like it has a label on it that somebody printed on their home printer and it's on normal bias tape or whatever. Calibration tapes are made using precision test equipment so that it is precisely accurate what the level of the tones are on the tape. If you inject tone into a tape machine and the tone is at a certain level at the input of the tape machine, you have to be able to guarantee that the record level is known and accurate, and that takes specialized equipment. There's a company that I believe is still in business called GenLabs, GENNLABS. So just go to your favorite search engine on the internet and type in GenLabs. They sell precision calibration test tapes. I would trust those. I happen to know somebody that used to work in the analog support department, was a technician at TIAC in Montebello, California, and I bought some tapes from him. So I have this TIAC test tape. Anyway, that's my soapbox on test tapes. But you have to have one in order to calibrate the playback level electronics, check the playback frequency response, etc. So watch the meter calibration video, and then once you have a test tape and know what the level of the tone is on it and know what to expect on your VU meters, then you can go ahead and calibrate the electronics. And so the way that you do that, in this video, my test tape here, the reference test tone on it is 315 hertz. Your tape, it might be 400, it might be 1 kilohertz. That doesn't matter. What matters is that you know what the tone is, and you use that reference tone consistently as you calibrate through the rest of the electronics. My tape has a 315 hertz tone on it. It's at, if you listen to the announcement at the beginning of the tape, the initial tone is at 0 dB, they said. So you have to look in, I had to look in a couple of manuals that I have that reference this MTT or MXT 116 tape, and I extrapolated that 0 dB means 0.775 volts AC, and as I mentioned in the first video about meter calibration, Audio-Technica says that 0 VU should equal 1.23 volts AC at whatever tone that you're using. I don't know what their reference tone was because you can't get the service manual. I'm using 315 hertz because that's what my test tape is. So I calibrated all the meters so that 0 VU equated to 1.23 volts AC, and this test tape produces a 0 dB test tone, which equates to 0.775 volts. That is 4 dB less than 0. You can look up charts about voltage and dB. So I know that when I reproduce this tone and I'm monitoring the tape tracks, I want to adjust the playback level on each so that it is -4. And so at any rate, you do that by switching each of the meters so that it is monitoring tape. Remember, if the switch is up, it's monitoring the submodule, the subgroup bus. If the switch is down, it's monitoring tape playback. These meters, the wires to the input wires to the meter amp go to the jack PCB, and you know there's 4 tape out jacks on the back. So you can plug a cable into a tape out jack with your appropriate level meter to monitor what the output level is and correlate that to the meters here. But my point is, the only adjustment point between the tape and the tape head and the playback electronics and the meter and the output jack is a level calibration trimmer. Okay, so that's where the rubber meets the road. Where is that trimmer? What trimmer is it? On your 4 submodules, and I mentioned this in the meter calibration video, you've got 2 sets, 2 rows of these little gray trimmers. You see them there? You've got 2 rows of them. And then you've also got this third guy on the sub 3 module, which is for to calibrate your solo bus LED meter. Well, the top row, those are your playback level trimmers. Track 1 on sub 1, track 2 on sub 2, and so forth to track 4 on sub 4. So I've got my 315 hertz 0 dB tone queued up here, and I've already gone through the process of adjusting the trimmers. But when I hit play and the tone starts, and it's pretty good and stable, and I adjusted all of them so that they show 0 or -4 VU. Let's take it back to the beginning and you can just kind of see. So let's look at track 2. So I've got my tweaker on track 2 and I can adjust the playback level. But I know for my situation I need to set it to -4 VU, and there it is. So now all of the playback level for all 4 tracks is lined up and consistent at -4 VU, and then I can go on to the next steps. And one of the next steps is checking the playback frequency response, and then after that it's adjusting the record level and record bias, and I will talk about those in future videos. But at least now you can do your meters and you can do your playback level if you want to do that. And I did find, even though I think this is a low hours machine, it's, you know, what, 38 years old now? Let's see, am I doing my math right? 85, 95, 05, 15, yeah, it's pushing 40 years these things are now. And my suspicion is that it may never have been calibrated, and it had drifted quite a bit, and needed some lining up. So it's a good thing to do. Anyway, as I always say, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, feel free to like it on YouTube. If you like this stuff, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. And I appreciate you watching, and always ask questions or leave comments if you have feedback, or if you have questions. I don't mind answering questions about stuff. So anyway, thanks again for watching.